What jobs can you get as a BCBA or a behavior analyst? All right, good morning, Internet. I recently rediscovered a resource when it was circulating around on the internet a few weeks ago, and I just can't get it out of my head. And it's a document labeled from the University of South Florida, and I think it's a little misleading, to say the least. On it, you'll see 15 different areas, including staff training, business, OBM, school systems, autism, intellectual and developmental disabilities, child welfare, gerontology, sports performance, traumatic brain injury, safety skills, child abuse and neglect prevention, parent training, sustainability, gambling, judicial and juvenile detention centers. All of these are labeled as careers in behavior analysis. So why does this matter to me? As a content creator, I get questions weekly on what jobs and careers there are if someone wants to pursue this field, this science of behavior analysis. Now, for context of this discussion, I want to add a second source of data from a 2016 survey conducted by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board. They're the folks responsible for the minimum competencies of the field and protecting consumers to ensure that only qualified people are working in this field, essentially. All right, so follow me. The following practice area data were obtained from 7,107 BCBAs who participated in the February 2016 Job Task Analysis Survey. So we're gonna go around. Autism, approximately 4,808 respondents, meaning 67.65% people with the credentials were working in those areas. Followed by education at 12%, developmental disabilities at 8.3%, other at 2%, behavioral medicine 2.08%, university teaching 2%, parent and caregiver training 1.6%, dissemination at 0.93%, behavioral pediatrics 0.69%, brain injury rehabilitation at 0.58%, organizational behavior management 0.48%, professional supervision 0.48% again, child welfare 0.38%, sports and fitness 9 people for a total of 0.13%, public policy and advocacy 0.08%, and lastly, non-university research just at 0.03%. Now, if you cross-check these two documents, many are on both lists, but the thing that is really interesting to me is the percentages of certificate holders that report to work in these areas. So for example, organizational behavior management, which is one of the usually talked about as like the second largest area of application of behavior analysis when it comes to things that are outside of the norm, as of 2016 had 34 people that responded to the survey, which more accurately would be about 0.5% of our community that were working in these areas. Now, there's a lot of implications of these sort of things that could make this number larger. For example, you don't necessarily need the BCBA certificate to be able to work in that area. Or you might step back and be like, hey, these data are from 2016. It's a little bit outdated. And while you're right, and it does need to be updated, if you ask anyone, just about anyone in the field that owns a practice, employs a behavior analyst, you'll see that our field has continued to grow in these same large areas of practice. And my hunch is that the percentages are still damn close to the same. And you'll notice on this list that there's no gambling, and that might just be a byproduct if it wasn't listed here, and there may be some practitioners there, but having lived in Reno, I know people that work in that industry. And what they're doing is they're not looking at what our research typically looks like. They're not trying to help people with their gambling addictions and such. What they're doing actually, the people that employ in those industries are often figuring out how to influence people to spend more cash. That's what's going on. In a sense, it's opposite of what our field's actually trying to do. We try to help, they're trying to exploit. All right, so anyone that's watching this that's employed at USF or has a job in any of these non-traditional areas or that wants to just use the science in a novel way is probably already clicked out or typing something in the comments of like, you're wrong. And look, this is my point. While one may be able to find a career in behavior analysis in any of these places that are here or more, many of these industries are not looking for behavior analysts because they don't know about us. They don't know about the credential, and more often there are already established credentials, fields, entire areas of study, and professionals that are in these areas. So would I hire a behavior analyst for something like sports performance? Not at first thought, but would I hire one that has experience, say in sports medicine, who is also a behavior analyst? Sounds amazing, but remember, I have knowledge of both of those different areas. So what do you do if your passion for behavior analysis falls somewhere there are typically few job offers, careers potentially? you create it. And to read more about this perspective, I've linked a free article down below on this topic. Again, a little outdated, but holding up very well across time, in my opinion. And it's much more articulate than I could ever be. And lastly, what jobs or careers are there for behavior analysts? Just about anything you can imagine. And that's what attracted me to this field. Everything in human behavior and existence can be tied to human behavior. It's literally everywhere. Like, I could find a job and create a job in any of these sort of places. And that includes the areas on this list, but to suggest that the list of areas where we've largely conducted some research or where some people are working is conducive and representative of the careers in behavior analysis, I think is misleading to those that are trying to consider the field and what possibilities they have if they were to dedicate their time to becoming a professional behavior analyst. If you're new around here, proceed cautiously. Just remember, you're your own best advocate. I will see you in the next one. That's your Daily BA. If you're new around here, comment, share, like. It actually makes a difference. Check out the top description for Patreon if you want to support this channel, and the playlists over here are more content that you're likely to enjoy. All right, peace.